No,
Let
I'm
us
just
see.
immediately dropping right now. Oh my
Hmm.
god, am I gonna have to record instead?
Maybe restart your computer like I do, and then it might work.
Oh wait, is it clearing up? Yeah, it looks like it's clearing up now. Could have been a
Hmm.
Twitch server.
Oh, really?
I'm just glad it fixed. This
Really?
man is really chasing you?
Ooh. Oh, wow. I actually took a hit and lived.
No way, Val. Get out of here. Alright, I'm just gonna run.
Die. Thank you. Oh my god. What the hell?
It really is just one hit KO.
Yeah, I feel like the two of us need to gang up on the Smith script.
Yeah, he followed you all the way out here. Wait, let me kill the Val. He's trying to be an ad.
Oh shit.
Wow.
He he throws us surprisingly quickly despite being really
He
slow.
does. God.
Oh, when I get to the dentist, I'm gonna ask about my damn jaw. This is ridiculous. I don't want to have surgery if I don't need to. But what the hell is going on?
You have TMJ.
TMJ?
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, what is the pain that you have?
It's it's kind of like a discomfort more than a pain. Um, nice try. Um, like I would extend my jaw and it feels. I hear like a crunching sound as if like bones are cracking.
Yep, TMJ probably. Wow, he did that so fast.
Fuck you.
He really just turned around and backhanded you.
Like I hate this enemy. It's so annoying. It's so unnecessarily fast.
Yeah, for a fucking enemy
Like
made of rock.
why? Oh yeah, well you know he has no weaknesses even though he's slow. That's his whole thing, being slow. But for some reason, when he's fast, he's fast.
Oh god, is that a singing bat?
I don't think so. Does it dodge like widely?
It was a singing bat.
Oh
Wait,
yeah.
no. No, it wasn't. The bat just had that much health.
Oh yeah. No.
God.
I feel like we're missing something else here, but I can't quite put my finger on it. I just know that I'm gonna level up bigger now.
I want this item.
Alright,
Give
what
me
item?
the Shadow Realm room.
Where was that?
Next to the big fucking fat fire guy and the knight.
I wonder if I picked that up. Oh, I see. I had to be real careful.
Yeah, I was like, oh no.
You said next to the fat guy?
Yeah,
I'm guessing it was on the dead body.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Alright, well, I think we're good to go.
I have 26,000.
I have 18,000. Speaking of thousands, I've been in this bid for like an art piece,
Oh,
and this guy has been like, "Oh yeah, I'm not gonna let you have it, so I'm just gonna bump the price up to like 10,000 Taiwan dollars." And I'm like, "Oh, good, thanks." I was like, first of all, my limit is like 8,200 because that's $200, $250. And then this guy was like, "Oh, they keep bumping up the price." I'm like, I bring it up by 100 every time because that's the minimum bid. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring it to the next 1,000 down." I'm like, "Can you not?" So I asked the dude who's hosting the bid when it's gonna end, and it's at 11 a.m. tomorrow. So I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm just gonna pull what I pulled today and bet the last possible second
Wait, give me one
because
second.
I don't feel like dealing for a price that doesn't need to be bumped up." Like this dude who is up against me also lives here in our same borough. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, surely you don't have that much money. You just came back from a trip. What are you doing?
It's a rich white guy, probably.
Probably.
But
All right, I have the range. Now you. Oh, whoops.
I did.
I'm sorry. Yes. Oh my god.
Wait, hold on. I'll be back.
Oh my god. The way I almost got right killed. I'm so sorry. I fucked up my button so bad because I haven't played this game in a while, but jeez. Can we blow it up? That's not blowing it up. That's not what I wanted at all. Okay, if you won't leave me alone, there's consequences. And there's Chaz, of course. Oh, and then there's that guy too, really? They're all here. They're all here to annoy me. Can you get away from me? Oh. I hear him. Where is he? I knew it. I fucking heard you. Oh my god. Can you leave me alone? Oh, he's rotted? Cool. He should die in a second. Goodbye. Rot? Not yet. That's not what I want, game. He's gonna dodge it. That's alright. Oh god, I let him over here. Ugh. Why aren't you rotten yet? Oh, because you're immune. What do you mean that just whiffed? Predictable.
Alright, I'm back.
Anyway. Uh-oh.
Oh, are you trying to find the enemy that drops an item?
Oh, I forgot all about that, but of course I died at the last second. I died on the last hit.
Why did he do so much damage?
This is the problem with the DLC.
Not a bat. Oh,
The bat has been pissing me off.
got him. Oh, I think he was the enemy
using
that
that.
drops the item.
Good. All I wanted to do was this. And the game said no. I'm dead.
Shockingly.
Oh look, damage. Thank you. You should have less HP.
No, it was a different one. I killed him.
Oh, I see. Ooh, okay, that's better. What? Damn. The exact same time.
Damn, how many
This
hits
BGM
this
hissing always pulls me into checking my computer fans. It sounds like they're going into overdrive.
thing?
Oh.
Oh, in the realm of shadow. It's that.
You mean that part? The violin.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. This is I can't stand wolves for this
Good.
reason. Die. You know what also makes you double check? That sound effect. That? Because it sounds like you closing a tab.
Yeah.
What?
Really can't get any worse. Oh, wow.
Wow! Wow. Just wow. I mean, it's still early game, so we can do whatever the hell we want, but
Yeah, that's just funny
Yeesh.
though. Like, hey, you didn't
Wow.
choose the astrologer. So-
no, I chose bandit. Even still, the astrologer wouldn't be able to carry this. No one can carry this weapon, in fact. I don't think. Right?
what is it? A strength? And
Oh, actually, I can carry this weapon. Strength, int, and dexterity.
Where's the item? Here. I'll run past the bat.
Where was the item?
It's golden room 2. It's here. But where all those enemies are. Trying
Oh, I see.
to bait them.
Die.
Look at this bat trying so hard. For what?
That's what they always do.
Wow.
Urgwa.
Now we're not gonna pay Val mine.
Nope.
Oh yeah, I finally did.
Kingdom Hearts Valmind?
Finally
Oh,
get the
brother.
memes. No. Oh god. Jesus.
Oh, I forgot he gets to do that. It doesn't even matter.
Oh
He just
my
went
God.
hit anyways. Oh lord, I knew that was gonna happen. Dodge. What do you mean he doesn't take damage? What?
Wow. Yeah, wow, he just doesn't take damage.
Oh, of course he doesn't.
I'm just gonna grab the grace.
Yeah.
Jesus. Bro, you can't chase me all the way over.
Ah,
Did he really?
you're that tall.
He's
I am
trying.
Freya in battle. Oh, did
I'll
you
take him.
If you've yet to find more of their mecha. If you assuming.
No, he's just standing in place for me.
Oh, oh, now he's standing.
Well, now he's dead.
What the fuck is he doing?
dying to me. Oh, you meant the giant, not the
Yeah.
guy. Oh well.
Oh God.
These, I urge you, as long as you,
Oh, thank you.
as long as you,
That's pretty
as
good.
long as you.
If assuming you
Oh God.
We're fine.
Bro, really
close.
tried.
No, they're touching it.
Like,
I
oh,
was actually.
stop.
You
Stop.
talking to me, dog?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's demanding attention. Like he literally just headbutted my leg.
Oh, Rodriguez fine now. Okay, cool. Wait, this is the wrong way. Okay, so number 1, yes. Number 2, yes. Number 3, maybe. Number 4, absolutely.
I
Number
knew you were gonna
5,
buy
we
it.
can try it out.
Why are you
And
being
number
on my hand? I'm
6,
paying you.
we could try that. We could do Chris 2. 25. Thank you. Wait, does he have... I thought he had dark lipstick for a second. Oh, that's a lot of runes. Huh. I can happily spare the time. Yep. Alright, I bought his entire shop just in case he leaves. Which is
He
great.
shouldn't, because we're not doing things.
Yeah, the normal game. That's okay. She just plopped back into place, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I have to do this. Okay.
It's so demanding. Bad doggy. Hey, what he does, he takes my finger in his mouth and just locks it behind his teeth.
Oh, brother.
He doesn't bite.
That's silly.
He only does it like if he's playing rough, but I'm making it so he's not. But he'll just take my finger. Or sometimes my whole hand.
Oh, we got the fancy spin. Oh,
Spin.
there's something.
Go get your toy. Give me the toy.
How about that too? And what else was I gonna do? When I move upstairs, I might get another dog. I'm not sure.
Oh.
But we'll see.
And then
Oh,
Kay,
Fia, that's what I wanted to do.
Kay will turn into Rue.
What, having to rock the... I mean, that's good for me and my mental health, to be honest.
No, I mean, oh yeah, I gotta walk the dog, guys. I'll be back. It never comes back.
Well, the thing is that I would do it at... Although it'll be rough because I'd have to change my entire schedule.
Yep, just to walk.
Because... Yeah, because I have to walk it, walk him in the morning. Maybe I'd walk him in the morning after his breakfast. I don't know, or their breakfast. Walk them in the afternoon. And then walk them after dinner. And I should probably have dinner the same time my dog has dinner. Because then they're going to be like, wait, but I want to eat something too.
Crumbs.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, that's not good.
Oh,
Psychologically,
our dog
that's
does
not
that all
good.
the fucking time because they fucking spoiled.
Yeah. There'll be some spoiling, but yeah.
Yeah, like, you want my finger? Yes, of course you do.
And then the next thing is intensive training that I will have to look up how to do because I'm not playing around. Like, I just don't want to make the same mistakes that I made with my first dog.
Oh,
Pretty much. Like too many accidents in the house, so I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen.
Thankfully,
Um,
this guy, he only had his issues when we first got him because of his anxiety, but now he hasn't done anything in the house.
mhm.
He does
Chaz says
misbehave
that's why.
though when he wants attention, but that's just a Frenchie thing.
Yeah, that's a puppy thing.
Yeah.
Chaz says that's why you feed them before you have dinner so they're not as hungry. Well, even still,
They'll still be like, crumb? Can I have a crumb, please?
exactly. Like
Even if you gave them like a good fucking dinner, they will still do
both
it.
people and animals act the same way. Like so, you would have to have something similar, not similar, but just the same time. Just about. Of course, I'm gonna do some research before I adopt another dog. So let's
Yeah.
see. Hit you with the pleading. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh God, Roy, what are we gonna do?
I don't
Everything
know.
kills us.
Everything one shots us.
I
We're
should maybe I should
literally
name this
glass
Elden Ring critical
cannons.
mode. Yeah, Elden Ring critical mode.
Yeah.
That's quite simply what this is. I kind of want to try the Western Nameless Mausoleum, but at the same time, I feel like that's just a waste of time. Did you
For-
spend all your runes?
Yeah.
I guess we can try it then. Just give
Stop.
me a sec.
Calm down. No, I'm playing. You're not the
Um,
center of attention.
Put this
Mm.
away.
Ow. Banged my arm on the table.
Summon circle of black.
I'm gonna throw you out my room. He's being bad now. Okay, what he likes to do to demand my attention, he'll put his fucking snout in between my leg, like
Your
under
legs.
my knee.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he'll
Yeah.
fucking tickle me with his whiskers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, such a bad dog.
I think this is all I need.
Ow.
Oh wait, I want to try this too. Yeah, let me see. All right, wait,
Mm.
War of Regalia.
Oh, you gonna try it?
It says it's
What is it spelled?
channels Great Red Bear to emit a furious roar. Does the roar do damage, or is it just that it bucks you?
No, it does damage. You got the stupid
Oh,
room
okay.
bear roar.
Eh,
That's what I was like, we have
I'm
like
good.
3 of those as Ashes of War.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
Like, what? The bear one, as far as I know, does nothing special. Maybe it just
Okay.
has higher knockback or something. Stop! Alright, no, I'm gonna lock him out. Hold on.
Okay. Purple horse. Purple horse. Purple horse. What? What? What do you mean? The ice cream's name is Goon with the Spoon. Huh?
He is now locked out.
Hoorah! Alright. I'm not
Locked
sure how
him
long
in
I
my
really want to play
parents'
for.
room because he was being too smart. I
Or
baited
could you
him into
open
the
door from other
hallway,
side?
and I went to close the door, and he fucking ran like before I could fully close the door and like squeezed his
Of
way in.
course.
So I just made him follow me to their room and just close their door behind me.
Does he scratch on the door? Oh, hey. what's that?
No, at least not yet.
Okay, good.
Hey, look, a gold item.
My dog used to scratch on the door, like real bad, to the point where the door got messed up.
Oh yeah, you showed me, I think.
Yeah,
Like, why are you here?
I'm dead. Oh wait, I'm not.
You're gonna have to beat his ass
Boink.
with that.
Boink. I ran out.
There we go.
Nice. Boink. Oh, what? I need the sound effect to play. Ma ba ba. Oh my god, I'm so sick and tired of this song. We kept getting it.
Bo bo bo.
Ma ba ba.
Oh, ooh, I stopped him.
Wait. Let me see. Oh, never mind. It's too late. You can kill him. I wanted to finish him like that, but I fucked up. I swandered it.
Oh,
Well, that wasn't too bad.
no 500,000 runes though. Sad, Pepper.
What a shame. What? Why are you here?
Oh my, he was not there. He was not.
Oh, it's aggro. Oh, it's... Who's after?
Oh
Where are
my
you?
god, he's after me!
What?
Fucking dick rider.
Oh my god. Oh, then a plant started to attack.
Yes, they were trying to
Oh my
fucking
gosh.
gank me. The worst way too.
Alright, so yeah, we just go up. Up and...
Watch
Where do you want to
out.
go first? The... Huh? What happened?
You almost ran past an Alablaster Lord.
Oh, did I even see him? He's so white, he's transparent. God, no.
No.
I see you running after me, you're not slick.
Dun dun dun. You know.
Mabila.
Oh no.
Oh god.
I
Oh,
thought
brother.
that was a Minotaur
Okay.
with a fucking bow. I was about to say it's over.
Oh, remember that? I remember the first time I was down there and getting sniped by them. That was insane.
Yeah, you
Like,
you
it was
literally
perfectly tracked.
Yeah. On the Ash of War, it literally says that perfectly. Well, not like exactly, but it says it tracks.
Bell!
Together, many things.
And then another one.
Ooh. You want this shot?
You will move to my drum. And I'm giving this head back shots. Real quick.
Oh, arrows. Yes.
This is so stupid. Of course, I'm dead.
What killed
Yeah.
you?
Oh, well.
Oh, the tank.
The Val. Because it ran up behind me and grabbed me.
Oh.
Hey there. In battle.
Boo, boo, boo.
Alright. Time to be Sakurai.
The plants.
Whoa! I'm shocked that I get hit by a single one of those.
It was shooting at me.
Was it really?
Yes.
How?
I don't know. I was nowhere near it.
I think he was shooting at me, but its shots went up to you.
Good thing.
You're later. For now.
Look at him trying to fucking AoE you.
I know. You like to run up behind people like an asshole. Die.
My god.
Oh, I have 73,000. I know. 75,000 now. Where'd we get 75,000 wounds from?
I think the Val or the tank just gave a lot of room.
Good. Very good.
Also, yeah, you want the shop.
Who shot? What's his? Oh, this guy?
Yeah.
Verdigris?
Many. I for you. Then
Oh, wow. What the fuck?
Yeah, he's crying.
They just threw the shit in there. I think it's because of the settings we have. I'm not buying this stuff. You think you're so slick.
What the fuck was that? The dragonfly?
Yes. Like, what else? Oh my god, this fucking dragonfly.
Good.
Die. So fucking annoying. Where is he? No, he's...
Storm Wind.
Yeah, I mean...
Those were pretty good.
What? That's all he has to say.
Da, da, da. These
Alright,
said you're not
let me
buying
go and
wood?
get dinner. I'm not gonna buy the smithing stones.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, but I bought the blessings.
Yeah, absolutely. Alright, I'm gonna go and get some dinner.
Alright.
I'll be back.
check. Oh god. Alright, yeah, I cannot. My hands are camping too hard. Shit.
Alright, I'm back with meatloaf and cabbage. Where have you gone?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
fucking leech
Where are you?
at
Oh.
the top area. Like,
I was just about to say, I was like, my spidey senses is telling me that Roy went off to see the guy, who's the other shop. And I was gonna say, maybe you should just talk to him. The, what's it called guy? The scorpion guy? Oh, brother. Why? This is the second time these fucking hands are here. Are you serious?
yes, and they're guarding an item, and I couldn't grab the
I
item because of that.
I can't get up. Oh my god, I lived. What?
Yeah.
Oh, well. You want to know what the item was?
What?
I can give you it because I have a second. I have two of them now. Here's your hint. You too can be a Chaz head. Oh, die. Leave me alone, please. Thanks.
Oh, damn.
I'm sorry. I just needed to get this guy off my back.
Oh, was it the teleporting clean rod?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. 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 Fuck.
Oh, brother. Okay.
Why does this fucking spit do that much?
Oh, really? Are you gonna try to grab me? Okay, I can use that
Also,
as my
isn't this
advantage.
music like vanilla? Like this is where it normally plays at.
Maybe.
Hey, you fucking bitch.
I don't know the DLC too well because I've only ever done it twice. Nice try, asshole. Garbage. What a waste of my time fighting you. I'm not touching that up there.
What, the rock pod?
Is that what that was? That gray thing was?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
because I
almost
didn't know
killed
what
him,
it was,
he
but...
touched Grease.
Oh, I see now.
Die, Chaz.
Oh, this gold item here. And an elemental guarding it. That's so sweet of you.
Dude, fuck
Why would you be
elemental.
guarding it perfectly? Fuck off. Oh, Mikola's great room. Okay.
God.
So I was correct. All the items you get at the start of the game are guaranteed. And the randomizer at the start. The fuck was... Why are you here? Go!
That was perfectly timed.
This guy needs to get away from me. Oh my god. Meanwhile, the game won't fucking target onto the guy who ran after me.
Only all of that for 2,000? Damn, not worth it. Who killed you down here? Was it the worm?
No, it was the golem.
Oh, I see. He tried to snipe me.
Yeah. Now I need to get my shit before it's too late.
Watch out, don't peek over there. Oh!
It was a combination of the golem and the fucking,
Oh, you aggroed him.
what's he called guy? The stupid Minotaur guy.
Yeah, I see. And a small.
What was that? Oh, that was you?
There's another Minotaur, dude.
Oh, wow.
God,
I can't believe I
dude.
fucking lived. Yeah, get fucked. Nice try, but I'm too fucking short. Try again. Mr. Linky. Is he really trying to aim down? Get over yourself.
Fucking go down.
You're gonna have to hit him. I'm gonna charge this up. Yep.
Good.
Wow, that's a lot. You know, he's grindable.
How much did he give?
32,000.
That is a lot.
That's 1/4 of what we have, basically. Nice. Prospect Town, aka Clinton Ave or Clinton Hill.
Uh-huh.
What the hell was that? Who almost sniped me? Did you see?
No. Why do you have so much
No.
health?
Who is this? Oh, it's you. It was you, Max. Pop. Amazing.
Huh.
Oh, brother, not you too. Not her. anything but her.
Oh yeah. I killed her earlier.
Look at her. Let her get rotten. Oh. Never mind, you bred her.
Took her essence.
Nice.
You both was.
There he is.
Oh. I can't talk to him. Oh. Nice. Jump.
Garbage.
They are garbage collectors. Oh.
The hell?
Where is he aggroing you from? Over there? No. No. No.
Bitch ass old man. Hey.
Fucking cheap ass spell.
No, don't Stardew Valley the tree, I beg of you. The item is all the way at the top, right? And that's it.
Yeah.
He says as he falls down to the bottom.
Just jumped.
God. Why did that remind you of the ad?
Okay. Yeah. That ad or
Huh?
what? He said, why did it remind you of the ad?
Yeah, there was an ad that you know how well I say ad but I mean a commercial. You know how Vinny does the can we jump down from here?
If you jump on the the platform looking archways, yeah, you could.
Okay. Isn't there another way down here?
Yeah.
If we keep like going through. Vinny was excuse me. Oh, what's this over here? I missed. He just ran straight after you too. Vinny does commercials. Like he watches commercials, like old commercials
Old.
from different places. Calls the segment Commercial Chaos, and he does it on Sundays sometimes. And it's the most garbage heap shit in the world. Who is he fighting?
I don't know what he was. Wow! I'm running. I'm
Yeah.
running for dear
I gave you an
life.
opening.
Oh my god. Well, like, what was he doing?
I didn't even have a chance to dodge.
Omen. Oh my god. I always get the Omen mask. Short bow plus 25.
But this commercial that Vinny was watching was about shampoo for your cock. And when I say cock, I mean your chicken.
You blend in with the fucking tree, you asshole.
I missed this item. Maybe it's a good thing I got it. But yeah, it's just some random ass ad about, and I swear, like the ad knows it itself, because there was shit like cocksuck, and then it was like, and then something cool.
Do not go that way.
Oh, why? What
The
is this over
dog.
here?
I had him
Dog.
looping
Oh.
around this because he chased
walked-
me. Fucking
He chased you all the way over here?
yes.
Damn. Also, that was a nice dodge compared to last time. Leave me alone!
Like he won't.
Damn,
he
why is he so
won't leave
fast?
me alone.
He ran all the way over here because he remembered where I was.
Where's this at? There.
Oh my god, I can't stand this game because the game is gonna be like, oh yeah, the player can fall off the map, but not the enemy.
Yes. Where
You're
is
so lame for that, because
Oh,
the way we can just get these stupid ass enemies to stop aggroing us by that one little thing. No, oh, it won't work. Fuck you.
oh, you jumped down?
There's nothing else for me to get.
Oh.
I dare you to jump down, asshole.
I'm going to Prospect.
He doesn't want to find out.
Does not.
But when I saw Kaku Glintstone, I immediately thought of the Pocket. That was really funny. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Oh, it's called Cockshore. That's the name of the shampoo.
Oh my god.
Where'd you go?
I'm still up here. There was the town. That's
Oh, I forgot about Clock. I almost called it Clock Town. Huh.
Clock Town. Clock Town.
Alright, I
that's
posted
what
it in the chat.
good. Oh god. So many enemies over here. Is this like a shit post? Like,
No, it's a real
commercial?
ad.
Oh my god. Nice.
Mm-mm. Nope. What? There's no way!
The octopus?
Oh my god, that... I'm so glad I swallowed my food, because I would have choked.
You like
What
how
the
it just
fuck?
fucking leaps around for no reason?
But Roy, here's the kicker. It leaped over the whole building and
Yes!
and fucking like just clipped me. I was like, huh? I was not expecting that. It cleared the whole building in one leap and still hit me.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, don't scare me like that. Oh wow. I'm so thankful that I swallowed my food. Cause I would have gasped. Like, what the fuck?
Oh my god, I just Metal Geared around the enemies. Nice.
Meanwhile,
Perfume bottle.
anti-metal gearing.
Oh, man.
Yep,
Not perfect. It's not.
that's all it takes.
Black Flame Tornado line. Cutie. I don't know how I fucking Metal Geared around them. I'm glad I did though. Who killed you? Was it the slime?
No, it was the hands.
Oh,
It was a good stun lock.
the bow seed.
Why must you inconvenience me and put my runes all the way down here, game? You said the bow seed?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
I killed the hands.
I see.
Be careful. Oh no, you aggroed him.
Of course. I thought I can get around. Why must you grab twice?
Okay. Centipede is dead. Oh, Val had that. Wow. Okay, I'm doing like no damage to this thing.
Bitch. Elden Ring, but every time you die, the amount of runes that you get from enemies, its value exponentially decreases.
I mean, there's something similar to that.
I'm sure.
There's Elden Ring, but every step you take costs money.
Lord. I'll be watching you.
Now we can get out of this area. Oh, we got it.
Oh, it's regular perfume bottle, not
Yeah, it's not even a
not the
good
booty.
one.
I guess I can use it since I'm an arcane build, right? I think I did say at some point that I was gonna try and use items.
Yeah. Oh, are you also on Arcane build because of Scarlet Rot?
Yeah.
Damn.
For now, I'm gonna be doing arcane. Benton Arcane. I meant them. Yep. Okay. I think that's it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Now, I don't know where you want to go from here, though.
You want to get bodied to the main gate cross, but first we must level up.
True. Bum, 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 bum.
25 arcane, 25 vigor.
You already got 25 or
I just boosted it. My weapon actually doesn't scale in that, but that's okay. Not a single weapon we have skills in arcane. But that's okay, because I have the blood flame magic.
Ooh.
And that skill's in arcane.
Do you see the big bell at the top of the staircase?
Yeah. I'll knock him down.
Good.
Ha ha! That was my Larxene impression.
Oh. Oh yeah, true.
That's a lot of enemies.
Oh my god.
Well.
Retreat!
Oh, I didn't know you were behind me. Look at this, Chaz.
Guys, stop.
You hit him at the worst time.
I did.
Nice. This is perfect, actually. Game, really? I even see this person close the distance, what?
What the fuck? This guy squeezed through the door?
Let me see if I can try something. Of course not. And they can try whatever they want. I can't, though. Like, come on. Oh, that's staggers.
What the fuck is that?
Chaz.
Oh my god, it is.
Behind you. Oh my god. If you don't stop at that fucking torch valve.
Yeah, you see him right.
Oh, you can't get through.
Oh my god, the
Die.
door is blocking him. There we go.
But when I asked you to do it, bro, what are you doing? Die. Nice. Who hit me
hit
and
you?
how?
What?
Where did that beam come from? Yeah, it's you again. You and me.
Oh wow.
This is you. Rolana's armor. Thick armor? We need a... We need a lantern.
Not a big rat. Oh.
I can take care of Big Rat. Dagger now!
Now what's waiting up here?
Another rat.
What the fuck? All these rats. They're ratting.
Rat jam. As the emoji goes. He looks like the warden. Die. Who's the second person in this room? Because I can't see them. Oh, it's Simone.
I killed both of them. Well, at least it's not a rhino or a hippo. I mean,
That shit was terrible.
it just kept camping the door every time. Oh, I think a bot got banned in my chat.
Hmm.
Good.
Banned in my chat. Banned in the chat.
Think a big ass bear is over here again.
No, no.
Oh, there's something worse.
Yeah. Why is it always the worst fucking enemy blocking the way?
Like, can
why?
we catch a break?
It's been 3 times in a row. It's been only 3 times we've done the DLC and the randomizer. What the fuck? Uh-oh.
Mad now.
Oh. I need to kill Val. I wasn't gonna let him get away with it.
Can't be next to it. Oh, it got blocked.
Oh, speaking of blocked, there's a bot in my chat.
Is it called like Kelly Tax or something?
No, it's Flamos. Cheap viewers on bot/zoom.online. Excuse me. See ya. Oh, it's a guy. It's the back of a dude's head, not a woman's. Crazy. Is this guy chasing me? Is that the reason why you just ran past him?
He wasn't doing anything. He was just walking in a circle. I don't know what the fuck was he doing. He's over there. He voided out.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Oh man!
I'm running past it.
You alive?
Yes.
Woo! Ooh.
Oh my god. This is ass. Oh no.
Oh. Run away! And look, there's a bear inside.
Like, bro.
There's no escape. You can't even get inside to the next area.
The bear's just blocking.
Dude. Why was the bear aggro anyways? No one even got near it. It was just already aggro. Die. Notice how he has no sound. I wish the jump slash made a beam. All it takes is 4 hits, huh? Maybe I should try Scarlet Rotting it. Yeah.
What the fuck? He's making no sound.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier. How do I do the special of the bow?
The bow? What's it special?
Yeah, it's Rancor shot.
You press L2 and then R1, I think. Shoot your bow.
Oh, I see. Bow run indeed.
I was trying to bloodlust him.
I want to try and Scarlet Rod him. Game really?
Alright, you wanna block
Oh my god.
walkways, bro? Like, okay. Alright, get right. I was lucky I don't have FP.
No. Oh, I didn't do that much damage actually.
That did nothing to him, wow.
Jeez, what do you even hit me with? Not a damn thing. I'm not even targeting him. This is why this game sucks sometimes. I'm not even targeting the thing in front of him. I'm targeting the thing past him with this huge ass hitbox, somehow allowing me. Oh my god. To target things behind him. Like, are you kidding? Die.
He's dead.
Yeah. Oh, I did rot him. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was targeting this asshole. Oh wow, he just did a ton of damage to me.
Oh my god! What?
Didn't I? Wasn't I in the middle of dodging?
Yes.
Huh. Well, once you put that grace down.
I should have left this Chaz here for you. Oh well.
Some other day.
Got the grace.
Thank you very much.
God, why is it just nonsense? It's like, oh, you want DLC? Oh, nonsense.
Holy crap. Yeah, that was incredible. That's incredible. And I don't even want to spend my runes because I feel like if I do, they're just not gonna end. What the fuck? Was someone throwing shit at us from down there?
What are they?
I saw some like helmet get thrown or something on my screen. It was some weird metallic object
I heard something.
just in the air.
Oh, oh, oh.
You good?
Get up. So dumb.
This game being useless as usual. Hefty crackpot are first.
It's like I wanted to kill him so bad.
I just want to see.
28,000 health.
I can't even reach.
Will that even reach? Yeah.
28,000 health and I did 200 damage. So divide that by 200, I guess. $140 times I'd have to do that. It's not worth it.
I mean, we can't even really trap.
What?
I don't think we can even like trap him and make him die.
No, I'm not even worried about it. Although I think he's in the way of an item.
Is he? I grabbed it earlier when he was running around.
There's like some alleyway around there, right? Oh, you know what? I don't think it has an item. Weather.
Cool gold item. Ooh.
Where?
Jesus. You finally died to the man throwing rods.
No, I died to him like the first few times that I played the randomizer, but
Why does he do so much damage? It's a fucking rock.
the real question is, why is it able to take tight ass turns like that?
Yes. I got him. Oh, fuck.
Meanwhile, my fucking magic can't do that.
What was this guy swinging at? He was swinging at nothing. Did you get the gold item at least?
The girlfriend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's another one up
who's
there.
down here. Nice.
Oh god. All right, the glazers.
Stripped of the grace of gold shall all reject, in the embrace of Mesmer's flame.
Oh god, why is it Giza?
Oh no. Let me know if he's coming after
He's
me.
coming after you.
You're a bitch. You're such a bitch, dude.
As soon as he said it, he was like, I think I would.
Where did half of his HP go?
I just annihilated it.
No, before then. He only had half of it.
Oh, what the fuck? I got him.
Graceless heathen,
Nice.
thou shalt not evade the flame of Mesmer.
Heavy sword can't do anything against Dex build.
Nope. Oh, he's still not dead.
What? It didn't hit
What?
him? Fucking iPhone.
Yeah, I thought I timed it perfectly.
Nice. Like another valve. Damn. Knocked him into you.
Alright. Pass this asshole.
Uh oh. Oh, I'm gonna aggro. Oh gosh. Watch out. How... This game is funny how it made you look that.
What the hell?
Oh shit.
Kinda is.
There's also one of those like holy hammer knights past this asshole.
Yeah.
Oh my, it curved like that just to hit me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, can I target him?
Yeah, it wasn't letting me target
You can
him.
target everything else that's not in my fucking way, but when he's slightly behind the wall, I can't be targeting him. Give me a break. Anything to make my life easier.
Really got clinked off of nothing.
It's okay.
Yeah.
From now on, it'll be okay.
Oh. Cool.
From now on, it'll be okay.
The dung eater. Oh God! No!
Oh.
Knock her off!
Wait, I have no HP.
Oh yeah, you were.
Wait,
decent.
what? I had no HP, but I was alive.
Yeah, it was decent. It was because I died, I
Huh.
think.
Hmm.
Oh my God. Why are we just getting nonsense on top of nonsense? Like, can we get a break?
Nope.
Yes, half helps. Or, you know what? Last bit under his physique. Oh, now you want to
arcane, damn it.
aggro? Oh, God.
Where are you?
I went back. But this asshole fucking came out of nowhere.
Who the hell is that?
The fucking hammered asshole knight. Oh, okay, she's just standing there? That's fine.
I know! We did the same thing.
Oh God. It gets worse through the door.
Oh no.
Oh fuck, I tried to stab him. Alright, I got the
Please
knight.
show me the way. She's gonna run after you.
Okay, I got the knight. How the fuck do you dodge her shit? Jeez.
I feel like you have to block it.
I'm thinking off of the
I feel like there's no other way but blocking or parrying.
Oh, you probably can. I got her. Oh,
Nice.
there's hands in here though.
Big ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have something.
He's so lucky that he caught you somehow.
What the fuck do you mean you caught me?
Ooh, I didn't realize you got that.
What, blood balloon?
No, we got the bubble butt weapon. Or bubble blade.
Oh, it must be something only you have. I don't have it.
What the fuck? It pooped out
Whoa,
a
there's
baby
two!
hand.
Wait, it pooped out a baby, you said?
Yes! That baby just came out of nowhere. Wait till you see that from my point of view. Oh my God.
Of course.
But yeah, I have the Envoy's Great Horn. It's like, did you want to do a holy build? Oh, fuck. Now I'm an arcane build. It's too late.
To be fair, there's like 0 arcane weapons in here. I have not gotten a single one yet.
True.
What the hell? Back off!
Who the fuck is this? Where did he come from? And did I not kill him?
He's another one!
Oh, what the fuck?
He ran after you, wait.
You staggered him coming down the ladder. Oh my.
What?
Oh my.
Oh, give me a break. And then he killed you too? Damn.
Yes. Of course he had 1 HP.
How? How did he do that? What?
This
Oh my
game.
God. Please don't reset everything
Uh-oh.
after that. I'd be so sad. I would cry. Okay, good. Where did he come from? I mean, I know where he was. He was on the opposite side, but no one fucking aggroes
No one
ever.
went that way. Like, what the fuck?
Oh, he has full HP. What?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
I'm gonna lose my runes.
Oh, you didn't put the Twiggy?
I'm gonna lose my
crap?
runes. No, I didn't put that one on. Why is he at full HP? I'm gonna lose my shit. I would be so mad. Because my shit is still
my
up there.
shit, you fucker.
I can't do anything because all my stuff is all the way at the top of the ladder. I'm dead.
Oh my god. No.
Leave me alone, dude. I swear to fuck. Did you get your stuff ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't care if I died. I still have him.
Okay. Now let me go and get them.
Just go. He's right after you.
I know. Let me get my shit, dude.
He's like,
Get the fuck away from me.
he's just like, oh,
Get out of
him.
here. Oh my god, I hate this game so much.
Oh.
I hate this game so much, dude.
Did you get it at least?
And my shit is, I got it, yeah, but my shit is still up there. It's gonna respawn up there.
You fucking bitch, die.
He just gets hit by my shit and doesn't get staggered off the ladder. Come on. What? Did you kill him twice or something?
No, I'm killing a Chaz.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
I kicked Chaz off.
That's funny. The way the game tried to kill me, not my game, my controller actually tried to kill me.
Oh fuck that.
It's a little crazy. I pressed the jump button. Goodbye, Val.
Yeah. Ooh, another. Isn't it possible to make this? How did I hit him? I feel like we made this before, did we not? There we go.
Yeah, it's just that he was in the way. Me first trying it. Oh, and then getting knocked off. Nice. Lord, I hate this game so much. Did you see how I fell too?
Yes. It just pushed you. It was just like, get down.
I slid and then I just got pushed off. Alright.
Of course, the gold item wasn't even worth it.
Oh, really?
It was just a fucking spirit plant.
I see.
Grave bloodwort.
Then I can end the charade.
Do you want to go left or like the right one?
Left, I think. Right. Let's see what hell lies in wait for us here. Oh, brother. Already.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh. Wrong way, asshole.
The bat is like
Oh,
flipping. Oh,
what?
the
I was staggered. Come on, I couldn't do anything.
Bro, the bat yelled at me through the wall and did all my health.
Oh god. I was fucking staggered, dude. I couldn't do anything. And I tried dodging, it wouldn't let me. That's lame as fuck, Elden Ring. I've died at least 20 times already.
You did. 23 to be exact.
Like, oh my god. The fuck is this Val doing here?
Look at this dog. You can't make this shit up.
The fuck knocked me backwards?
His big ass jaw.
He's just walking in place from me. Oh, there it is. Oh, there's a gold item back there. And some guy who just dropped from the ceiling. Goodbye.
I was hitting him with the beast repellent switch.
Oh, I see. What is that behind us there here? Oh.
Bro, try.
Him. Beat the
tried.
shit out of him.
Buff. Can't make it. Let me lock onto him, though.
I'm dead. Did he throw the... Bro, if you don't get out of my face...
Oh my...
Get out of here.
Fucking asshole.
Let's hear you name. How about that? Oh my god. I'm not sure who the horse is, but it sure ain't me. Let's hear you name. How about that?
What is that from? Oh.
Wait, I forget. She's like a. Hang on a second. I'm not sure what she does, but I'm pretty sure she's like a, you know, kind of like an idol. But give me a second. I'll give you the video. It's just the way she says, "How about that?" It kills me every single time.
No. Yeah.
The horse is deep in thought. I'm not sure who the horse is, but it sure ain't. Please watch this video.
Blow up.
No, I almost fell down.
Oh, he doesn't have a fucking explosive type. Good.
Nice try. Oh god. I could have put mine too.
Oh my god, do you see the Val chasing the dog?
On the right?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Wait, let me see the... How about that?
How about that? Headshot. Headshot. Dead.
Val
Why
size.
does Val have so much? Bro, why does he have so much defense? What do you mean it went right through him?
Sidestep. How about that?
Let's see how you dance.
Literally. Huh? Look what I saved for you.
Bro, I'm just about to lock on. Can he get up here? Why can't I lock on?
Being in this area, all I think of is that one clip you posted.
Of us?
No, from like some person online or whatever. The one
I
that
can't
got like
remember.
grabbed by the curse blade and jumped down here with them, and the curse blade died.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, do you see all these fast attacking enemies that are down here with us?
What
all
the
of a sudden?
fuck?
Where'd you guys come from?
No. Oh my god.
Oh, brother, Bloodhound Knight.
Oh, okay, I got the snake. Trying to help this dickhead.
It's called jumping, asshole. That's how you evade shit. Not whatever flash step you got.
Yeah. Not whatever new.
Oh, we'll
weapon.
attack the ground. Okay. Now we jump. How about that?
Hey, Usubu?
Whoa! What was that?
Hey, don't. You fucking staggered both of
Is
them.
that you both of them? I have never
Just
heard that before. Oh my god, what the hell? That was smog.
What?
Bro, I can't stand wolves.
What? You hit him before his hitbox even came out.
Oh my god, they just attack too fast. I have to run all the way
Oh
down
my
there to get my
God.
shit.
That was bullshit. The game knows it too.
Like, fuck you. How about that?
Bring.
I've
Oh,
never ever ever
Val
heard that
with
before.
torch dies. Oh god, the child's too. Yeah, I knew it. Man. I should fucking try. Oh, but he can jump up that? Oh my. Chaz, come down here. You know you're short in real life.
It's gonna be like I'm 5'9". What the hell? Oh. I'm guessing I saw you there.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, brother.
Yeah, no, Val, you're not rolling. The rolling days are over.
Sorry. Try using quick run instead, Val.
I love how he has dodge roll and still hasn't used it.
Doesn't use it. Oh, now the game is forcing me to use quick. No, it's not. You know how to use dodge roll? Fall.
He lived.
Whatever. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Oh my god, you can't be serious.
What was that? Oh god.
Yes.
Fire asshole. I got the bad. He's chasing me.
Too many one-shotting enemies. Why do they one-shot, actually?
Also, I have 175,000. Don't know when that happened.
Uh-oh.
Is it just from killing all the assholes?
I want to say yes.
I have 3 heals. This guy has full health and range. Oh,
And my
hands.
I forgot I was muted that whole time. Oopsies.
You were muted on your
Because
stream?
my mom walked up. Yeah, because my mom walked upstairs.
I thought your program is... What?
What?
Fucking instant transmission just happened.
What do you mean?
You'll see it. Oh my god, why can't you...
I know exactly what you mean, but I'm just not. Ooh, we got 1 shard. I'm just not gonna like. I'm entertaining the fact that nothing is wrong. Simply because I loaded in.
I'm dead.
I've reached it, Hashirama.
I did enough damage.
Yes, he did. I avenged you, Hashirama.
I love when Madara, like... Madara is such the biggest hater that he felt Hashirama be resurrected and just, like, turned into a rabid dog and was like, where the fuck is he?
Like, I don't know what to say to that. Like, yeah. What do you mean you're Goku now? You can feel energy?
Like, okay.
I mean, sick of this no
Like,
range.
bro felt Hashirama in his balls or something. Like,
Yeah. I died to the rat because I got no range. Died to the rat because I got no range. Died to the rat because I got
Damn.
no range.
got my
Meanwhile, all the rat has to do is proc an attack, and dash
There's
towards
this
me.
rat.
It doesn't even have to close its jaws on me.
Oh.
It just needs to proc.
Do you
and
want
run at
me to leave him alive so you can kill him?
You can kill it because I don't want to lose my runes for some stupid ass reason.
Okay. Also, gold dice.
So you said you have 75,000.
Now I have 184,000.
Okay.
Also, that was a Mesmer's kindling. So there's one.
Yeah, I said so. I said we had 1 shard.
Nice. Oh my god, that's
We're on the right
hilarious.
track. What happened?
You'll see when you go in the room.
So I have like 27 deaths now, right?
26.
Okay.
How many do I have? I'm probably
11.
I've been putting up vigor.
125. Oh no, 183. Yeah, I mean, like, it looks like I have to do that too because I'm still getting
27 vigor.
I have 24, 25.
But I also just have better armor.
Yeah.
But it really doesn't make a difference.
Oh yeah, actually, I never put on better armor now that I think about it. Because I couldn't fucking wear it.
The heavy sword. Oh, you said it is funny, right? Did you? Yeah.
Wait, what? It's funny?
You come this way.
Oh yeah, like, how did we miss him?
He's just stuck in the air.
As soon as we hit him, he's gonna fall down.
Oh yeah. Let me... Oh wow, he really doesn't care.
I wonder if we can fall down and do the thing and then like live the fall. I kind of doubt it, but
I don't know. I mean, I'll do it for science.
wait, first,
I already touched it.
okay. I've already touched it. How should I?
Is it a R2 that you do or R1?
It's an R1. Well, you just have to land on him and then do R1.
No, it pushed me.
Okay.
Either that or maybe I was too far to the left, but it felt
I
like
think
I
you're
got
too far
pushed.
to the right, yeah. I'll try once too.
Spend these first.
Yeah. Well, since the game clearly wants to be annoying,
There we go. 30 vigor.
I now have 38 vigor.
He put it out into vigor. Yeah, it's just like I had enough.
I'm done. Like, cause the DLC scales so terribly, and they know it. And they know it, cause it's not supposed to be this fucking hard. Oh yeah, you know, you just use these things to level up so that they do less damage to you. It doesn't work. It doesn't do jack shit all. Each enemy is still gonna do like a. I did it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was too far to the right then.
Nice, and I lived the fall. That's cool.
Nice.
I'm so
Ooh,
cool.
He gave 17,000.
That's actually really good.
Oh, but now you're.
Oh. You want to grind that out?
He can, but oof.
I want to grind that out. That sounds fun. This way, even if I die, I can keep my runes.
You want the clothes
And my
to
death
use
count won't matter
Susanoo
anymore.
Nuts.
They probably should have taken that bargain, although maybe it wouldn't have made a difference because he doesn't lose chakra.
I mean,
But like, the strength of it should still be fraction, no?
yes, but it didn't even matter because he still said, I'm gonna just answer for you and make them use it anyway.
Yeah. Nice. Do I still get my shit? Let's see.
Yep, he gave me 17,000.
I didn't get runes.
Oh, I guess,
I worked too early.
yeah. I'll touch breeze. I don't know if you did.
No, I didn't touch it.
There you go.
I just love
Nice.
it on top of this shit. Alright, that should give me my runes, right? Yeah, 48,000. Okay, good. I almost walked off the side.
I saw. Yeah.
Is it back? It's back.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. Boom.
Boom.
I might have worked too early again, but let's see.
Nah, I don't think you did.
No, I didn't. 69,000. Princess Balance is live. Hello, Princess Balance. They're a pretty cool person that followed me, so I followed them back. It was when I was playing a lot of Kingdom Hearts at first on my channel.
Oh. Let me get some. I'll be back.
Although I could have sworn that their name was Kingdom Island at some point. Did you touch Grace? Hmm. Oh, wrong way. It's a wrong road. But it's stronger. The farther on you go. Thought I knew you. A bow, but a bit of bow. The body battle I will burn out to be. Just can't understand where my head is at. Oh, my heart is just shut. All the world does go. But a bow. I can't shrink the habit. I don't believe. But I know in the end I'll be the shoe. To the road we go with you over the road. Oh fuck. And the fact that I live barely is insane. Making a compromise. Fighting for a better life. Making a compromise. Fighting for your friend's life. I'm done grinding.
Oh.
Freya.
I love when they're just like, huh, huh.
I will walk into the wall.
Yeah.
This is what I shall do now.
Also, I didn't notice this, but apparently Seamless Co-op added a setting, like, in the network settings where you could toggle between someone's character name or their Steam.
Or their what?
Their Steam name.
Oh.
I don't know why, but who the fuck is that?
Oh god, already?
Is that Horalu?
Ba-da-da.
God.
Ba-da-ba.
Yep.
Why are you...
Aggro.
What the fuck is he doing?
Freya, are you gonna...
Whoa!
Are you gonna step through that gate? Wow.
How did he...
I'm dead.
Bro, get off him already. Jesus.
Good thing I drank my shit.
Did you not spend your runes?
No, I did, but I had 14,000 left over.
What?
Like, bro was on my dick as soon as I stepped through.
Why doesn't she step through the door?
I don't know. I think she bugged out. Because we touched it.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, you're dead.
That's such a shame.
Just boom.
The way I died instantly, though, and he just teleported away.
Yes.
What the hell? Like, the moment I drank the pot, he was like, time to grab.
Hey, damn, bro. Okay, well, he's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. Although, how much damage did I do to him?
I didn't even see. Looked like you were tickling him.
Yeah. This needs to go, this needs to go. I raised my strength, but I could proc him with, what's it called? Scarlet Rot, possibly. But let's see something here. Now I have poison and Scarlet Rot on the same weapon, I believe, right? I think that might work.
You said Scarlet Rot and Poison?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can proc both.
And let's put on the Thorny Crack tier instead of the Dexterity one. Oh. No, the skill's a Dex, right? Yeah. Just double check this real quick. This is a strength and dexterity weapon, but it's more so dexterity, so.
Freya, can you do something this time?
Might have been because I touched Grace, but who knows. At least we have this.
We have no summons.
No summon? Is he gonna come in and grab immediately?
Yeah, he's trying.
He went after you,
bro.
customer?
I'm dead.
Oh, is 40 vigor not enough vigor? Oh, I'm the DLC, and I think that this is the most interesting thing in the world.
Gosh, bro, like, why did he immediately go after me?
Who
Wow.
knows?
He killed both of us in the same way. I hate this
The
boss.
real question is, why is he a one-shot?
I fucking hate this boss. People find this boss fun. I don't. He's garbage.
No, it's not that fun.
Hey, yo, we got cover my
Okay.
entire arena, even if it's
It-
bigger.
It looks like we can't do this no matter what.
Wave dash across the arena and like 3 command grabs.
Because
Fun.
it requires us to not make a mistake when we're doing so little damage. And the
I
longer
don't
the fight
even know
goes
how
on, the
much
more
I
mistakes
do
we
to
make.
him because I never get to hit him because he's just like, and now you die.
Okay, well, we'll try one more time. I mean, what can I hit him with? I don't know.
I know you're happy you got that.
What, this? The staff?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least I got it early because it's decent. Let me get my shit. Alright, I hit him. I have no more magic?
Jesus.
I definitely dodged, but I guess there's 2 hits to dodge. Question mark.
Well, you're dead.
What?
Oh, you gonna actually survive that?
The real question is, of course he died.
Oh my. You can't take 2 hits from him. You just die. Yeah, no, this is impossible.
Yeah, I know you want to delay. No! Why did he switch it up on me?
He's grabbing. He's doing it again? Wow.
Dude.
He's doing it again. That's all he does.
Stop. Oh, yes. Make him sit down, bro.
Oh. Like, bro, go fucking play Street Fighter if you want to grab all day.
Oh, wow. I ran out of heals, but like...
Well,
Why aren't you procced yet?
dead. Yeah, no, this is not possible right now.
No, no.
Why does this
Alright, I do
this
need to
seed,
get my shit from the fight, though.
why does it do that? Just you can't do this, so you just die.
I don't know. Let me just get my shit real quick. I'll be right back. That's all you hear in the background. Alright, well, since I'm here, I might as well give it a genuine attempt. Why can't I live that? Why did you come in? Oh, you did decent damage.
Oh, I couldn't
Well.
roll out of the animation.
Dude.
That's so lame that that's just instant death.
How much vigor do you have?
30.
You have 30?
I can
Guess how
take
much I have.
two hits from him. That just is an insta kill.
Yeah, so that's an insta-kill for me, but guess how much vigor I have?
38.
I have 40.
Oh my god. It's still
I-
just one shot.
I'm 10 points away from max, or like the fucking... Stop, and it...
Recommended, yeah.
That is crazy.
That shit must do like 2,000 damage then.
Why?
But
is it
why?
so... Why is it so like... What?
Like, it's just dead.
I'm guessing that we actually just can't... So I'm guessing that we're not supposed to be in the DLC. Like, just because we start in the DLC doesn't mean that we're... Doesn't mean that, like, we have to do everything the DLC only and are stuck here.
Yeah.
I think it wants us to branch out eventually, but also, like, what the fuck?
Went to the chapel.
I'm just curious about something. I wanted to know if we can open the door.
The light.
The answer is no. Okay.
Light. Guarantee Val's
Right,
already
well.
level 99 and hasn't done lingering with. You really can't open them?
No,
That
you
was
can't
because
open the door.
DLC start is enabled. Grace.
Yeah, it's because DLC start is enabled.
We went to Lake Facing Cliffs.
Just to get the lantern, yeah.
We spawned with one.
We did?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, thanks. Well, I mean, might as well check the shop anyways.
True. Let's see if Thops is still
And
useless.
thoughts!
And then believe it or not, for a while you're a
My name
Leave
Prism.
it alone.
Only
Oh,
So much for being useless. Let's see.
I mean, it's not.
Just
Ronnie's,
good
though.
spell alone. Alright.
back to buy, of course. Why not? Without one, and you'll never. And if you find once you would you consider? I know,
Donate
but
it to me.
still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we might as well go back to Moongrave. Mm-hmm. You think we can body this guy here?
The tree sentinel.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
No, we can't.
He'll come.
I bet you want to know why I said that so quickly.
Yeah.
Because I looked over there.
That doesn't mean anything.
It always means something. It always means fucking trouble.
Ow.
You can put reading bastard.
What?
What?
Wow.
He didn't he looked at you and then grabbed
and then
me.
just switched up and grabbed you.
What the
a
fuck?
bitch.
So quickly? Sit down. Looks at me and then looks at you. Sit down.
I tank those. Okay, I don't tank that.
I'm dead. I'm not dead. Fuck off.
The fucking fire did more damage than him hitting me. Like,
Yes, because this shit is bullshit. Always. Nice.
at least we first tried him. Yeah.
The church at my last name.
And I can also that you're not then why I am Carly.
Well, at least if I need ballista bolts, I know where to get them. Also, you getting that didn't kick me out the menu.
Wow.
Unless they fixed
They
that.
fixed shit. Oh yeah, infinite ballista bolts.
40? Oh my god, that's so cheap. I love it. Give me the cannon and then everything will change.
They'll fall in place. I kind of don't want you to use the cannon, but since I was like, if it's too much,
I'll keep
I
it
might
just
just
for
dual wield
bullshit like
too.
Horalu. It was just like, oh, I do 2,000 damage.
like, fuck you.
Like, oh,
Excuse
so
me?
do I.
Alright, where to next? I don't know, guess back to like the first step, but inside. We can do the, what's it called? It's the grave.
No, we can't. We don't have stone sword keys.
Oh yeah. Well, we can try and look for one. Oh, we can't get inside. We simply can't get inside.
Wow.
Well, we have to get inside the other way.
Through the cave? You think they closed that off too, though?
I don't know, and I don't really remember how to get in from the cave, but...
It's this way.
Schmuck. Oh, this is the spot where Vinny died. Oh, man.
Why did it sound like it was choking on dick? What the fuck?
What was it? Mario spin jumping or Mario spinning and getting caught in the wall in Mario Galaxy?
Yeah, it was like when I killed him.
No, I want to kill them all in one strike.
Fuck. Gotta get down. I see the spirits. I've been to see him.
He looks a lot like you. He looks a lot like you.
I love how when that happened, Val was just like, why is there no sound?
Yeah.
Blood poop? Damn. Where the fuck is the entrance? Isn't
Here?
it? Oh, there it is.
Wait, but this isn't the cave.
It is.
Tis? Oh, you know what? We're going up instead of down. Yeah, it is. Tis. Tis, in fact, cave.
I bet the door
Nice.
doesn't open still.
I bet it opens.
Oh, wow.
Well, this one does.
I guess they didn't think about this side.
Hmm. They have to give it to us somehow. Alright, now be a stone sword key. Thank you.
Nope.
Oh. Let us see.
Let's see if you can, if it's just that you can't open it from the
Exit.
outside.
Yeah. I think that it is just that.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
No,
Oh, at
no
least
it makes
it's
sense.
open now.
But yeah, it is kind of dumb considering it's like just grab the bottom and lift it up.
Yeah.
But you know, game dev oversight. Of course, there's literally no way that you don't come from the inside, so why would they code it on the outside? Though, funnily enough, this is the only graveyard where you open it from the inside.
Yeah.
Or I say graveyard, but grave.
Time to bully?
Yeah. Don't even need to sit. It's always a dog in here.
We both sidestepped the fuck out of it. he tried so hard and we just sidestepped.
Goodbye. What do you think the boss is gonna be?
Rick of God? Oh,
I think it's gonna be a dragon. That would have sucked if we had fought him normally.
yeah.
If we were stuck here normally. That would suck so bad.
Just run past him. Bro.
Can we not Sonic the Hedgehog? Thanks. Number 2. Yeah, 17 runes.
Other dog. In a vow. Oh no. I just realized I didn't have my input display on. Oh, that's because I don't have it download.
You know what I just realized? I have 40 vigor, but I actually have 42 vigor.
Oh.
Ons of Godric. Oh, we would have been pieced up.
He just got pissed.
Let's try. No time for you. Oh, sorry. Was I supposed to wait for your little introduction?
Mhm.
That was my best Android 17. like interpretation. Of course, Android 17 is just Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho, but
Is he?
yeah. And Hiei is just, well, Sasuke is just Hiei too.
Yeah.
And the third Hiei is Phaeton from Hunter x Hunter,
Oh,
who literally looks just like him.
of course.
And uses fire as his nen. Haven't we touched this already?
Apparently not according to the game. Even though we warped to it.
All right. You want to just do the Stormfoot Catacombs and then call it a day?
Yeah. He warped. I run.
Are you gonna walk there?
Yeah.
Ba 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 ba. You were 0.4 seconds behind me. Ba ba
Yeah.
ba 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 ba
Fucking
ba.
slide.
Someone on your side, you got hit. What are you doing? Stop attacking for 5 seconds and maybe you can hit something. Piss me off.
Oh, it's an explodey boy.
There you go. Oh, you know what that is up there?
Ooh.
The stupid flesh guy.
Oh.
Ooh! Gotcha. Talisman of the Lord's Bestowal. I think that's everything, right? So you smart, you loyal. Oh, my bad. Oh well. Die dog. Heavy crossbow.
Evening. About that. That's not evening, that's afternoon.
Come. Die.
Alright.
I hear pitter pattering. Where's Chaz at? Dead.
Dead.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad we came.
Wow. Um, not plus 25. Ugh, into end fee.
Well, at least our vigor's leveled up and we don't really have to touch it anymore. Alright, I'm gonna separate.
All right.
That was loud, damn. Whoa, my audio just got really loud.
Rip.
Oh well. I'm tired. I want to take a nap, but it's a waste of time to take a nap. So I'm just gonna go to bed early.
All right.
Right. Have a good night, Roy.
Good night, Key.
Oh, lethal company tomorrow.
Hey. I'll probably just stream it.
Yeah. We'll get back into the swing of things and stream.
Yeah.
All right. Good night.